and the World Happiness Fest, and I would like to talk to you about the 3 allies to overcome imposter syndrome. I would like to let you know about what imposter syndrome is and how it's affecting your happiness. And after that, I would like to also share about the 3 allies that have been studied that can help you overcome imposter syndrome. These allies are self-awareness, self-confidence, self-acceptance. And to finish my talk, I would like to talk about your belonging circle and how can you enter in order to overcome imposter syndrome. Let's start by talking about what is imposter syndrome and how it's affecting the level of happiness. Well, 7 out of 10 people experience it. In psychology, we don't talk about syndrome. Nowadays, we talk about the experience of having the imposter experience. Why? Because it's not a psychological disorder and it's a normal psychological experience that, as you can see, 7 out of 10 people experience it, which is quite a lot. So let's dig a little bit deeper into what is it and what is it not. What it is? Well, it's the belief basically that other people have an overly positive view of yourself, your abilities and capabilities, kind of like an inflated view of yourself. It's feeling like an imposter in your own life. You fear that at any moment it can happen that it will be revealed that you don't truly deserve the worth that others believe that you have. Thinking that your success and achievements are solely due to external factors such as luck, coincidence, being in the right place at the right time, and the assistance or help of others as well. What is it not? Well, imposter syndrome, as I said before, it's not a psychological disorder. It's not an indicator of low self-esteem directly, even though it is related to self-esteem, but it doesn't always imply a low self-esteem. It is not a personality trait linked to feeling or being insecure. It is not being incompetent. It is not something specific to a certain population group or minority. And it's not definitely a chronic trait that cannot be overcome. All right, there are some factors that are external or internal that potentiate the appearance of the imposter syndrome. One of the main exponential people that had spoken and investigated about imposter syndrome is Valerie Young, and she talks about context, and these are the contexts that I've been studied also as well. From the external part of the context, we can talk about prejudices and stereotypes, especially it's been at the beginning the imposter syndrome studied in minorities like women or certain demographic groups, but nowadays it's studied really much more broader, and there are no significant differences between men and women, for example, in terms of imposter syndrome. Also, there's an external component and context that has to do with family and social pressures and demands. Life changes and transitions. When we're having a major life change in our lives, it can happen that we might have experiences of being an imposter, because it's like we are having a life that is different from what it used to be. Taking on leadership roles, I've been working for a long time with managers and with people leaders, and I noticed that this is really frequent, the feelings of being an imposter in that role. When it's kind of related to life changes and transitions, because it's a different stage of their lives, but it's particularly noticeable in leading positions. Social media and the digital context, all that social media influencers and the things that we see on social media nowadays could affect as a context to the appearance of imposter syndrome. And then there are internal contexts, like the feelings of being incompetent in something, an unbalanced self-esteem, which is not the same as saying low self-esteem, but more unbalanced, a feeling of insecurity, self-rejection, and having a rigid conceptualization of failure and success as well. This is really linked to imposter syndrome. As I mentioned to you before, Valerie Young is one of the main main psychology investigators about this major topic, and she talks about 5 types of imposter syndromes, which are the perfectionist, the soloist, the natural genius, the superman or superwoman, the expert. The perfectionist can have the belief really rooted that if I can do it perfectly, then it's maybe better not to try at all. The soloist or the autonomous imposter syndrome could have the belief that if I want something to be done right, I have to do it myself. If somebody else is helping me, then that means that I'm not capable enough. The natural genius could have the belief that if they have to work so hard and they have to make a big effort, then that means that they are not organically or naturally capable of doing it. Therefore, they are like imposters because it's not natural for them to achieve that. The superman or superwoman can have the belief that I can handle all of this and much more, and I have to be great at everything I do. Every aspect of my life has to be at a certain level, and that level needs to be high in order for me to succeed and in order for me to be happy. And the expert, the imposter syndrome the type expert, can have the belief really rooted that I don't have enough knowledge or control over this as people might think, and there are other people that know more than me. Therefore, I'm not an expert to talk about this. I don't know if listening to these 5 types of imposter syndrome, you feel related to one, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe all. But I can share from my point of view, from my side, that I wrote a book about the imposter syndrome, and I experienced imposter syndrome while writing the book and then while presenting my book to bigger audiences. So it's not about not having imposter syndrome or having it, it's about knowing what are the inner warriors, your allies that can help you overcome it, and start listening to the other voices, because that's not just the whole identity that you have. But we will talk about it in a bit. First, I would like to tell you a little bit more about the mindset of the imposter syndrome. With this mindset, achievements, abilities, and failures are attributed to causes that are external, stable, and uncontrollable for that person. So when there's an achievement, when that person achieves something, the first belief that can appear is, I don't believe I deserve that. And I don't think I will live up to what is expected of me. Therefore, in any given moment, they will find out that I'm not good enough, that I'm not capable enough. I don't think this is a big deal. This is not a big achievement. If I achieve it, some other people might have done it as well. And the reasons why I achieved this have nothing to do with my inner talent or my capabilities. It has to do with luck, with the help of others, with all those external factors. Because in imposter syndrome, what happens is that there's a difficulty to link inner capabilities and talents to what is achieved. Other beliefs that might appear in this vicious circle is that there are many more people more capable than I am, and therefore others might be mistaken when they speak positively about my capabilities and my abilities and my talent and my strengths. And in any moment, they will find out that I'm not what they think that I am, and that this achievement doesn't belong to me. So there's this need from the person experiencing imposter syndrome to be in that state of achievement and having this constant fear of losing that achievement. So people will find out, or making a mistake, or doing something that is not what's expected. Therefore, failures are attributed also to uncontrollable causes. Because if I fail, I'm not controlling that, but that will be the proof that I was an imposter in this achievement, that it didn't belong to me and it didn't have anything to do with me. And how does this affect the level of happiness, which is what we want to know, right? Well, in many, many, many things. It has a direct effect on your level of happiness, from self-esteem and self-conceptualization about yourself, It could impact the perception of your personal value, being conditioned to circumstances, especially external ones. It can have an effect in the low tolerance for frustration and strong fear of failure. So many people with imposter syndrome avoid opportunities, and that can really have an effect also in low job satisfaction. And they avoid opportunities because of the exposure to that possible failure or frustration, or that possible unmask of the achievement itself. When something happens, that achievement is removed somehow. It can affect also personal relationships, the perception of disconnection from the environment, and feeling of not deserving attention or recognition at all. And the paralyzing perfectionism, which is having unattainable standards that generate constant dissatisfaction or low adaptation also to the different circumstances. So it does have a direct effect on happiness. But do you want to hear what the good news is? The good news is that you are not condemned to live conditioned by your beliefs. Repeat with me. I'm not conditioned, I'm not condemned to be conditioned by my own beliefs. It seems like a word game, right? But it's true. You are not condemned to that, because you have three allies that can help you challenge these self critical voices, embrace your imperfection, and trust in your unique value. And I would like to tell you a little bit more about these allies and how can they help you. The first of all is self-awareness. This is like the opening the door. The self-awareness, it's knowing you for more than those beliefs that are rooted in your minds and that they are difficult to challenge because they appear automatically, but you are much more than that. Although the imposter syndrome might have a really, really loud voice, it's not the only one within you, and you have exceptions to that. So, working on your self awareness, it can help you tune in and actively respond to the beliefs that can enhance your true identity, your whole identity, not just parts of it where you feel you don't belong. So self-awareness will be kind of like this lighthouse here in the picture, illuminating your authenticity. And there are many, many, many ways to work on it. Here are some techniques that can help you enhance your self-awareness, like reflecting on personal values, working on psychological strengths, demystifying imposter beliefs, mindfulness exercises. Some of them will work more for you, some of them less, but I invite you to really work on your self-awareness because it's opening the door. Your second ally is self-confidence. In imposter syndrome, your self-worth is excessively conditioned by external factors, as we saw, and you automatically relate your achievements and success to something that is not intrinsically connected to you. And when you have a failure or when you have the fear of failure, you associate it to the possibility of unmasking yourself and others noticing that you are not really worth what they think you were or what you once thought you were. So, through working with this ally, that is a self confidence one, you can work on your unconditional self worth to free it from conditions. So, as the lighthouse was the self awareness that was illuminating the path, self confidence is like the oar in the hands of the person that goes really well determined to trust themselves and to keep moving forward. And I have an exercise for you that I thought you might like. And this is, sorry, it's in Spanish, but this is about registering and reflecting on your achievements. And it's an exercise to work actively on your self confidence. So, right now we're in this fest, we're learning a lot from each other. That's amazing. And I invite you in your next week, your next 7 days, to really, actually, your next 6 days, just take a few minutes every day to write about an achievement in your life, regardless of its magnitude. Doesn't matter if it's big, if it's just really small. It can be something recent or from your life history, and it can be professionally related or more personal. Just write about it in a registry, in your notepad, in your phone, in whatever you have at hand every day. And in the seventh day, I invite you to take some time to read all of those achievements that you recorded in the previous days and reflect on the strengths and personal values that you can identify behind those achievements. This is a really powerful exercise from a narrative technique that we use in psychology. And it will help you not only to recognize successes or achievements, but also reflect on the qualities and the inner drivers that could have helped you get there. So I would really like to know the results of this exercise. Write to me, tell me about it if you do it after the fest, because I think it can help you enhance your self-confidence. And last but not least, we have the third ally, which is self-acceptance. And aligning yourself with self-acceptance will help you embrace both your virtues and imperfections and consider yourself valuable unconditionally to really help you cultivate resilience, which is really, really necessary for happiness as well. So, self acceptance could be the ability to recognize the different stages of the journey. It's not about resignation, it's not about resignation to the journey itself. It's about knowing that sometimes you will paddle strongly in turbulent waters, and in other times you might prefer to seek refuge or security in solid ground. So, it is the awareness that your paddling capacity is not flawed, but it is adaptive, and being yourself involves navigating the waves, paddling through the waves with firm hands on the roar, with firm hands on the oar, really going through that. There are techniques also as well to work on your self-acceptance. And as I said before, some techniques might work for you, some others might not. You just need to be really opening the door of the self-awareness to know what works and what doesn't, and what worked once maybe doesn't work in another time of your life. But these are some techniques that you can try: positive affirmations, working on your self-dialogue or your self-talk, self-compassion meditations, loving kindness meditations to yourself and to others, techniques that have to do with narrative psychology, having a gratitude diary. Those are techniques that might help. So you have the possibility to create your own belonging circle. And when you do that, that means that you ally with these three inner warriors. And in your journey to overcome imposter syndrome, you can form this powerful alliance with these three inner warriors: self-awareness, self-confidence, self-acceptance. And so together they can become the pillars of this belonging circle that belongs to you, that makes you you. And when you embrace them, when you embrace this circle, when you take it with you, when you look at the lighthouse, when you go and when you navigate those waters of your life, then you can cultivate the mindset needed to be there for yourself, to navigate the complexities of life and build resilience and authenticity, which are very important nowadays. And lastly, I would like to thank you. I would like to extend you my social network. And this is a link from my last book, The Three Allies to Overcome Imposter Syndrome, where we talk a lot more about the three allies and how can they help you with practical exercises, and how you can link that to form and really grab your inner circle and work from it. It's in Spanish, but if you're not a Spanish speaker in person, you can maybe learn Spanish and read the book. And if not, let's be connected through LinkedIn as well. And really, thank you very much, all of you, and hope to keep learning from each other.